The hailstones hammered against the windshield like shards of ice thrown by an angry sky. Cars were pulling over, people running for shelter, chaos everywhere. But in the middle of that storm, through the blinding white sheets, he saw her, a tiny figure curled under a broken bus stop, hugging her knees, trembling. And the moment he stepped out into the storm to reach her, she lifted her face, eyes full of fear and something deeper, a broken bar recognition. "You a broken bar, you're the man my mom used to tell me about," she whispered. Before we go further, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and stay till the end, because what you're about to hear will warm your heart in ways you didn't expect. Ethan Hale was the kind of man newspapers called the unreachable shot, a single dad, running Hale Tech, juggling boardrooms and bedtime stories, trying to prove he wasn't the cold-hearted businessman people assumed. He worked hard, loved harder, but the world rarely saw the father behind the CEO badge. Today, fate wasn't just knocking at his door, it was screaming through the storm. The moment he saw the little girl alone in the hail, instinct took over. He rushed toward her, shielding his head with his arms, feeling the sting of ice against his skin. When he reached her, she flinched as if not used to anyone choosing her first. Ethan knelt, wrapped his coat around her small shoulders, and lifted her gently. "We need to get you somewhere safe," he said, his voice steady despite the pounding storm. Inside his SUV, she clutched the coat like it was life itself. She couldn't have been more than 8. Her hair was wet, her hands shaking, but her eyes a broken bar. They carried the sadness far too old for her age. "What's your name?" Ethan asked softly. "Leela," she whispered. "My mom. She used to tell me stories about you." That sentence lodged in his mind, confusing, unsettling, strangely familiar. As they drove, she shared fragments of truth. Her mother had passed away 2 months ago. They had no remaining family. She had been placed with a distant uncle, a man who cared more about his next drink than the girl left in his custody. Today, he had kicked her out during the storm. Ethan felt anger stir in his chest, the anger at a world that let children suffer, anger at himself for living comfortably while stories like hers unfolded quietly in the shadows. Back at his home, warm lights, soft blankets, the smell of lavender from his daughter Ava's old room. Leela seemed almost afraid to breathe. She kept looking around like she didn't deserve the softness she saw. Ava, Ethan's 10-year-old daughter, peeked in shyly. When she saw Leela, her eyes brightened instantly. "Hi, you can stay with us tonight. Dad makes amazing hot chocolate." Leela blinked rapidly, as if kindness was something she hadn't practiced receiving. That night, while the girls talked and laughed for the first time in what sounded like a long time, Ethan stood by the doorway watching Ava. One girl his world, the other a mystery linking him to a past he had buried. When Leela fell asleep, wrapped in a comforter Ava insisted on sharing, Ethan sat alone in the living room, staring at the fire. Her words replayed over and over. "My mom used to tell me about you." He finally called the only person who could help him piece this puzzle together, Maya, his college friend and now head of HR. She promised to come first thing in the morning. At dawn, while Leela and Ava ate pancakes, Maya arrived. The moment she saw Leela, she inhaled sharply. "On a broken bar, she looks just like Ia." "I know," he whispered. The name they didn't say hovered heavy in the room. Sophie Reynolds. Ethan's first love. The woman he had wanted to marry before life pulled them apart, his career taking him in one direction, her dreams in another. They had split on good terms but never truly stopped caring. When he heard she passed away from an illness he never knew she was battling, he had felt a loss he couldn't explain to anyone. And now Lana, a broken bar. Leela had Sophie's eyes. Maya gently asked Leela if she had a photo of her mom. With trembling fingers, Leela opened the small backpack she had carried through the storm and pulled out a worn picture. Ethan felt his breath stop. It was Sophie, and in the picture Ria standing next to her was himself, 20 years younger, smiling, arm around her shoulders. Leela looked between them nervously. "Mom always told me about him. She said he was the bravest, kindest man she ever knew. She said he once saved her life via a broken bar and that she hoped one day he would save mine too." Ethan felt the ground shift beneath him. Sophie had never reached out, never told him she had a daughter. He didn't know whether to feel grief, guilt, or gratitude for this moment fate had chosen. He knelt in front of Leela, eyes stinging. "Your moment broken bar. She was very special to me." Leela's lips trembled. She said, "If anything ever happened to hear a broken bar, I should find you." Ava placed her small hand on Leela's. "You did." The next weeks were a whirlwind of meetings with social services, legal consultations, endless paperwork. The uncle protested only because he wanted the government check, but Ethan made it clear calmly, firmly, with every bit of CEO authority he had, Leela belonged somewhere safe, somewhere loved. At home, Leela slowly learned to trust happiness again. She and Ava became inseparable. They built pillow forts, shared stories, argued over who got the last cookie, and whispered secrets late at night. But healing wasn't instant. Some nights, Ethan found her sobbing quietly, clutching her mother's photo. He would sit beside her, patient, silent, offering presence instead of pressure. And over time, she began to reach for his hand instead of the darkness around her. Months passed. On the day the judge finally approved Ethan's guardianship, Leela burst into tears, not of sadness, but relief. When they walked out of the courthouse, she hugged him tightly. "You didn't have to save me that day," she whispered. Ethan hugged her back. "But I'm glad I did." Leela looked up at him, eyes shining with something new, security. "Mom was right. You really are the bravest man I know." He smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. "And you, a broken bar, you're the little girl who saved me." Because in truth, she had. She had reminded him what mattered beyond boardrooms and headlines. She brought life back into a home that had been slowly losing its laughter. That night, as the three of them sat beside the fireplace, Ava reading, Leela doodling, Ethan watching them with quiet gratitude, he realized something. Family wasn't always the one you were born into. Sometimes, it was the one fate placed in your path during a hailstorm. If you felt the story touch your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it so others can experience its message too. Because sometimes, the smallest stranger can bring the biggest change. And sometimes a broken bar, love begins in a storm.